Hello everyone. Welcome to today's talk on Cipla Presents Win Over Weight in partnership with India Today. We recently celebrated World Obesity Day on the 4th of March. We also celebrated the International Women's Day on the 8th of March. Today we are here to discuss something very important which lies at the intersection of these two, which is obesity affecting women's health. In order to do so, today we are joined by an expert, Dr. Shailaja Kale from Pune, and I invite you, ma'am, for this particular talk on something as crucial and but which really receives very less attention. In order to do so, ma'am, if you could start with a brief introduction from your side, and then we'll start with the conversation.
So, thank you so much, Rahul, for inviting me for such an important message, or I will say discussion. I am Dr. Shailaja Kale, expert in diabetes and obesity from City of Pune.
Sure, ma'am. So let me sort of start the conversation ahead, right? So we already discussed what we want to do. We want to discuss the intersection between obesity and women's health.
Yes.
So let me ask you a very simple question first, but something which will sort of really tell about the burden of the disease. So you would encounter a lot of patients on a daily basis being troubled with obesity. But if I would to ask you specifically about the proportion of women in this, how rich would that burden be?
Yeah, once you start looking at obesity as a disease, then you talk about these terms as burden and all.
Correct.
Otherwise, many women still don't feel bad that they are obese. Others may feel, but they don't feel. But if you are asking me a specific question, I'm practicing for last 30 years. I do have obesity, so we do body composition and everything. But in diabetes clinic, obesity is a major issue which goes hand in hand with diabetes and increases problems of diabetes. So if I see suppose 100 women, of course 90% will be obese by the definition, because we are in the city,
Correct.
in the urban area. So that is the very sad part, and definitely we need to do something about it.
Sure. Like you mentioned that you're talking about the urban, but I'm also pretty sure that you will get a lot of referrals from tier 2 towns, from villages. Would the situation be any different when people come from
No,
there?
the number may be less, but it is increasing, and you still get. And I will like to mention here one word called as adiposity. So when you talk of obesity in India, it is adiposity. So someone may not look obese or motapa, or they don't look like a very big fat person or a fat woman, but they are adipose. So as doctors, when we talk that fat is bad, we are talking about this adiposity,
Okay.
which is very bad. And if you see the prevalence, that the number of women having obesity in our population, it is much more in urban, same way it is increasing in rural areas of India.
Got it.
And obesity is increasing in a much higher steep rise in women compared to men. It's coming more at younger age. So it's really a problem. And of course, then type 2 diabetes catches up because of this obesity and adiposity.
We heard something new, and you taught us something new about adiposity, right? And I'll come to that in a while. But you also touched upon age groups. You also touched upon the young women getting affected. If you can throw some light on that, especially with respect to adolescents and then becoming young adults, then going on to women in their middle ages and then in the later ages. How does obesity affect each of these?
Because there's so much of pressure of education and career for the girls, along with their natural hormonal changes in life. It's real struggle for all the girls. So the obesity, adiposity is starting right from pre-pubertal age.
Okay.
Adolescent they change, then the problem increase. So many girls face the problem of irregular periods, so we call it as polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS. So many girls face with the problems of infertility, not remaining pregnant. That all these problems come because of the excess weight or excess fat, which interferes with their hormones, interferes with their ability to remain pregnant. And it's a major issue. You take a gynec clinic, you take a IVF clinic, you take a diabetes clinic, it's a huge problem with the girls.
Okay.
And I think the social structure, and I think mainly the career. So no one remains pregnant below the age of 25. They will all will laugh at me if I start talking about this age. So everyone is till 30, they don't think. And then increasing age, increasing adiposity is a huge burden for these girls for infertility, PCOS with obesity and adiposity.
Correct. So that is very, very shocking to know, but also something that you taught us now, ma'am, about adiposity. So if you can throw some light, you use the word obesity and then you use the word adiposity. So if you were to sort of help everyone understand, and you also spoke about weight, but then you spoke about fat. So if you can help us understand the difference in these two terminologies and what should the average person know about this?
Yeah, so I'll take 1 or 2 minutes to explain this. It's very important for everyone. So obesity is measured as BMI or weight or the look wise. Say someone says I am obese. Every woman thinks she's obese. So that's a real story when she looks into the mirror. But it's measured by BMI. It is weight in kg divided height in meter square. So you get everyone on the. But only that measure is not sufficient to diagnose obesity, which is not healthy.
Okay.
It is fat in the body is a problem, which is creating all the havoc with all the metabolism of the body.
Okay.
So to call someone obese, we need a high BMI, but we need additionally waist circumference. So it's a midpoint between the ribs and the iliac crest. We measure it.
Okay.
So it's 80 centimeters for women, for South Asians, so Indians.
Yes.
So below 80 is normal. I'm sure no one has below 80 centimeters. So unless you are walking a ramp.
Yeah.
But that is waist circumference to height ratio,
Okay.
waist to hip ratio. So these are called as anthropometric measurements, which actually define adiposity in obesity,
Okay.
which is bad for health. And of course, there are measurements which measure fat measurements by body composition. So there are lots of machines which have some way, I won't say very crude, but good way to measure body fat. So you know the fat percentage, lean mass percentage, your metabolic age, or by DEXA or
Okay.
by MRI.
Okay.
So in simple words, a simple waist circumference and waist to height ratio and BMI will diagnose this bad fat.
Okay.
Now, if you ask me about why this is unhealthy,
Yes.
so this fat is around your main part of the body, abdomen. I'm not talking fat in the skin, but inside the abdomen, which is around pancreas, around beta cells, inside the liver. Everyone knows fatty liver. So there is a fat in the liver. It's around heart, around big arteries. So all these fat is called as a bad fat.
Okay.
It has a crosstalk with our arteries and it creates a atherosclerosis.
Okay.
So all the choking of arteries increase with this bad fat. So what do you mean by that? The diabetes will go up. Someone will get diabetes earlier if a girl is more adipose and obese. She will get all the problems of PCOS, insulin resistance, infertility, and very high cardiovascular risk for the women, liver problems, muscle diseases, everything, and also a possibility high chance of cancers. So obesity, adiposity is not good for health, and it creates all these diseases. They are linked up inside. So if you take out the fat, there's improvement in so many diseases.
So thank you for enriching our knowledge on talking about two terms. We generally talk about obesity, but it's also important to know about adiposity. And also thank you to sort of helping us understand how do we measure this adiposity. So clearly the message that I understood is while BMI is the starting point, we also have to understand a little bit more about our health, and the measures that you mentioned about waist circumference could be one of the ways in which you could do that. Moving on from here, so for example, somebody comes to you, you have advocated this, you also briefly mentioned about body fat measurement. So to a lay person, to an average person, what would you recommend? When do you choose to go ahead with things like waist circumference, which is very simple, and when do you actually tell them to go ahead with some additional measures that you just spoke about?
I personally feel in a simple clinics, not only clinics, any kind of a gyms or everywhere, basic BMI and a waist circumference, which also gives you waist to height ratio. So these two things are must to diagnose any kind of obesity or adiposity. Once you have that, if it is more, Now, if I am taking some measures for intervention to reduce that, then I need body fat measurements, which can be done by simple kind of impedance technologies, and then we can show that so much fat is lost. So that is needed for seeing someone after 2 months of lifestyle change or after 4 weeks of lifestyle change and how much they have improved. So that is much beneficial. And there will be a spectrum of people who we can call as patients who have all the diseases of liver and the heart and the diabetes. Then we need a proper management and percentage there to treat them properly.
So that's a very good point, because that also tells me something about the disease per se. The reason why you so confidently spoke about obesity as a disease is because when you see obesity, you see all the cluster of diseases that it can bring.
Yes.
Whereas, like me, for an average person, I will to look at obesity and just see that I don't fit in the mirror. Ma'am, something that I wanted to check with you, and I was reading upon the kind of research that you have undertaken, and I saw your name being associated with something that is called as thin fat Indians, right? So, can you just inform to each one of us how can we be thin and fat at the same time?
I know this word coined by Dr. Professor Yajnik, where I was working for many years, and now it is like world term taken by whole world. So this is typical pattern or the body composition in South Asians. So India being the main country, so we all are thin. So people look thin. They don't think that they are obese, but if you their waist circumference is more.
Okay.
So and their body composition shows more body fat percentage
Oh,
of a same weight BMI person of European descent. So both have same BMI,
correct.
but the Indian person will have more body fat percentage. So we have more diabetes, we have more heart attacks. So
Correct.
all these risks, we get heart attacks at a young age. We get diabetes diagnosed in our 30-35 age, which happens in European or white Caucasian descent
Later.
at the age of 50. So there is a 10-15 years gap.
Correct.
And that is the crux of the matter is this bad fat, and of course there is a genetic predisposition also.
Correct. And now this sort of explanation actually links me back to why you were advocating the waist circumference, because
Yes.
you might look thin, but you might have a lot of fat around your belly, around your abdomen, because of which you are advocating that. So but thank you for putting all of these things together. Let me sort of move on and also check upon some challenges that you face when women come to meet you. So we've often heard about women not being comfortable within the clinic to measure waist, and rightly so, because they need privacy. What is the kind of challenge, and how do you sort of overcome that?
For me, I came from the unit in Pune where we were a lot of anthropometry going on. So we do have a lot of clinic, and it's a routine measurements in our clinic. So you don't need much privacy. It's a standard clinic. Anyone can do waist circumference, and it's very easy in the clinic. So
Okay.
checking waist circumference doesn't need much. So that is very simple. And BMI and body fat measurements we do in our clinics.
Correct.
So, to make a lady or a woman aware about the health risks of obesity is very important, which happens with all these measurements.
Correct. So you would talk about the disease first, so that they understand the need to do.
So it's not to use the word disease because it has a connotation,
That's a good
bad
point.
connotation.
Yeah.
So let's talk about bad fat and how it is bad for your health. That's easier to explain. There's one more thing. When we measure body fat measurements, the machine gives your metabolic age.
Oh,
So if someone is 40 years old and if I show them your metabolic age is 72,
okay.
it's so easy to explain.
Yes.
Then they really understand ki, oh,
There's
there is
something
something
going on.
wrong.
Yes,
So I need to be more healthier. So that explains. So that way it's easy to explain to the people.
Perfect. Good. So, we've come to the end of the first segment, Mayor, where we were discussing about screening and identifying and helping people become more aware
Yes.
as to why they need to screen themselves and why they need to go visit an expert who will help them understand what is really
Yes.
going on in the body. With that, let me sort of lead to the second phase, ma'am. Right. So, second phase, we wanted to specifically touch upon some of these illnesses that come together. Right. So, you did touch upon the fact that diabetes increases, heart attack increases. But if we can go into some of these specifics, because some of these illnesses we've heard, they specifically affect women more in general, right? So we'll go into a little bit of depth for this particular segment. So the first thing that I've commonly heard is about polycystic ovarian syndrome, right?
Yes.
PCOS or PCOD. Uh, I've also sort of done my preliminary reading and I've understood that obesity is closely linked to it. Because this is something that affects women across age groups, it would be really heartening to sort of hear your views on obesity and PCOS.
Yeah, first let me say again, which I said, PCOS, let's not call it as a disease.
Okay.
It's a part of the spectrum which comes in young girls' life
Okay.
because of this excess fat and obesity.
Okay.
So if you treat it as a disease, all the stress in these girls start increasing much more. So these girls face the main problem they face is not able to lose weight.
Okay.
That is the main problem with PCOS. Then irregular periods, then some acne, hirsutism, not remaining pregnant.
Okay.
Infertility is a major issue also along with PCOS. So, and the treatment is basically, so there is a adiposity and obesity. So, insulin is the hormone which works also for the sex hormones and also for the sugar control.
Okay.
So there is a crosstalk between these hormones, the sex hormones, which create your menstrual cycle regular, also which are responsible for pregnancy, like good functioning of the ovum. And so this insulin is not working properly because of the bad fat.
Correct.
So these girls get diabetes earlier in life. They get more diabetes in pregnancy once they remain pregnant, and they do face a challenge of infertility. Many of these girls, not everyone, but many of these girls. So PCOS is a spectrum, and if we treat this insulin resistance, which is there because of bad fat as well as because of other hormonal issues, this comes at the adolescent age. So if we treat this insulin resistance like simple exercise, even though she is not losing weight, by a regular good exercise, the insulin becomes active and lot of problems are lost. So every time it is not weight loss.
Yeah.
Within first 15 days there is a fat loss starts. 15 days, even though your weighing scale is not showing weight loss. So a good lifestyle change, a good weight loss, good fat loss improves all the problems.
Correct.
So it's like, so a lot of girls are coming for this now, from gynecologists to us, from IVF centers to us.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that clearly helps us understand the linking of
Yes.
again what you said about adiposity, how it is leading to all these illnesses. So if we stay with that particular aspect of comorbidities or illnesses that come together, what are some other diseases that you commonly see in women who have obesity? What other diseases do they also cluster around with?
First, let me just touch upon there are lots of diseases. So, if you take obesity in women,
Yeah.
so first is we saw PCOS, then menopause comes early. So,
Okay.
early menopause, like a standard woman's, if they are whatever the age, this may become 4 or 5 years earlier.
Oh.
So, early menopause itself is a predictor of heart attack risk or heart disease risk. So, which is common in our patients of type 2 diabetes. Even with obesity, the menopause comes early. So, that is one thing. So, vascular risk or heart attack or cardiovascular risk increases.
Correct.
Definitely, there is more diabetes in that. All the bone issues and the muscle issues comes, osteoarthritis, everything in the elderly age group. And heart attack risk is much more. And of course, there is a increased risk of cognitive brain dysfunction and also cancer. So cancer is very much independently related to obesity.
Oh.
And nowadays we see a lot of liver disorders, like the diseases which need transplant, liver transplant,
Oh.
which comes with obesity. So if you can diagnose chronic liver disease in the early phases, which is because of bad fat, it is reversible.
That is
We can
interesting.
reduce the fibrosis, that patient will not reach the end stage liver disease and she may not need transplant.
Oh.
I am talking, I have seen young women of 42 just last month.
Oh.
So this is a reality. I am not talking about only books. So definitely these problems are increasing.
Understood, ma'am. I mean, it's shocking to hear this, that people as young as in their early 40s are experiencing this. But if that is happening, like you rightly mentioned, we need to identify the root cause earlier, treat it so that they live a healthy life later on.
School going children studies done in Delhi, Professor Sareen has done that,
Okay.
and there are a lot of data published now. So school going children are showing now fatty liver.
Oh,
So it is not good for our, and we talk so much about young India.
correct.
All our dreams of our country are dependent on young
On
India,
young
and
people.
this young generation is getting affected by diabetes, liver, heart problems is because of this obesity and adiposity. So it is really important not only for the doctors
Mm-hmm.
but all the levels of healthcare.
Got it. So, if I can ask you to throw some light on this particular aspect, ma'am. So, we've typically seen these chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, lipid disorders. All this come up in the age of say 40 or 45, and you clearly mentioned that it's happening earlier. So, what happens to women or to even a man who develops this disease earlier? How does the disease progress? How does the life of this person
Yeah,
progress?
it's not a good news for all of us because we have a genetic predisposition for diabetes and obesity. Both. We do have bad genes plus this lifestyle. So it comes at a younger age, this adiposity, bad fat, diabetes. If a woman, there is a metabolic shift in just few months in menopause. So there is a fat deposition, she will gain 4 or 5 kgs in 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's the weight changes she is aware of, but we know how much of adiposity increases because, and then there are a lot of hormonal changes and the insulin changes, and she goes in frank diabetes. In India, for a woman to get diabetes for anywhere, she has to be more adipose. So right when she is getting diabetes diagnosed, that time her lipid profile is very atherogenic, like it's very high risk of heart problems.
So
So her
atherogenic would
lipids,
mean that it is high risk for a heart problem.
heart problem. So you know precision medicine we talk a lot about. So
Yeah.
it's a UK Biobank data which says with millions of women checked up, they have more bad atherogenic fat we call it, which is more risk for a heart attacks
Okay.
compared to men if they get diabetes so early. So in diabetes, this is awareness is very less. I will say there is a big bias about women's health, and the cardiovascular heart attack risk is neglected not only by women themselves, by family members, and even by treating doctors.
Oh.
And I'm not treating doctors who are men, but even women doctors, heart attack risk get a bit of bias. It gets neglected because of multiple issues. I'm not saying by purposefully,
Correct.
but because of it's not only social issues, but even medically, women present differently. They have vague symptoms. They will not come with classic heart attack symptoms. So, and once they get heart attack, the risk is much higher in women getting the complications of heart failure or a serious problems with heart attack. So it's better to not to go there, diagnose it before. So they think 40 checkup, at the age of 40 checkup, a lot of women are aware. So they think I need to check sugar, cancer, pap smear, mammography, they know.
Yeah.
But no one will go and check the stress test and 2D echo to see their heart attack risk. So I strongly recommend that every woman should, like men, every woman should undergo these tests yearly.
Yes.
And again, stress test is lot of time false positive or negative in women. We
Correct.
always talk about women are not, they are unpredictable, so their tests are also unpredictable. And many times we need to do CT coronary angiograms. But at least basic stress test, 2D echo, if they can do, they should do these tests in whatever that well woman checkup,
Okay.
which we do routinely, but I've seen it is neglected.
Sure. So, ma'am, I'll continue with where we left. Right, we touched upon the fact that heart attacks are also something that you commonly see, and you linked the obesity or the adiposity to it. So, if you can sort of give some measures, what have you seen in your practice about women who have obesity and also experience heart attacks, and what is it that you generally recommend them to do?
See, there is a perception in everyone in society, all of us, that women don't get heart attacks. So it's a perception in everyone's mind. So the people come with that perception. So because I practice diabetes and obesity, so these women when they come, they are not, they are just interested in their sugar, their weight, their cholesterol. They know about cholesterol, but they will never say heart. If I say no, there is a risk of heart attack, let's do the test, they will laugh it away.
Okay.
What are you talking? So that is one thing. So awareness is less.
Okay.
So the tests are less. A lady getting diabetes, her lipids are more bad and more bad for her heart.
Oh.
So in medical terms, we call it they are more atherogenic, more inflammatory. So at the same level of that LDL cholesterol, the risk is more.
Oh.
Sometimes the standard checkups do not predict risk in women.
Correct.
Like LDL cholesterol is the standard predictor, but for women it can be triglyceride HDL ratio, or triglyceride can be a better predictor. So its a prediction is different in women because it's more linked to the adiposity, obesity and hormonal changes. So that is one aspect. So diagnosing it. Then secondly, as I said, they are not very much aware and not want to do the tests because it's a fear of knowing. Nowadays they use we use this word everywhere. So no one wants to know. It's true in all parts of medicine. It's true for ours, everyone, even doctors, they don't want to do tests many times.
Correct.
But to overcome that, to prevent any problem, disease, is the checkups. That I will stress again. Though we talk a lot about lifestyle change, the medical checkups, medical checkups, medical checkups. The tests are crucial to prevent the problems. That I want to say it again.
Correct.
Then thirdly, the symptoms of heart attacks. Like we always say these are multiple vague symptoms is a typical word used to describe when a woman starts complaining.
Okay.
So like they are not to the point and these are multiple vague symptoms. So we write it. So many times these multiple vague symptoms are telling you a lot of important things. So they will not get classic heart attack symptoms.
Okay.
They will get some vague pains, headaches, tremors, profuse sweating. So their description is very
It's very
different.
different.
So it's a clinician should be very much aware that this can be a heart problem.
Okay.
So to prevent, of course, as I said, checkups, so they don't come with classic. They will like to wait because of typical social awareness
Correct.
about women, not only in the health part, in all the parts of life. They will not seek a doctor's opinion immediately.
Correct.
They will finish off all the work even though they are suffering.
Yes.
Before saying to even to the close relative that I am suffering.
Correct.
They will finish whatever work they are doing. Then they will always get affected by the whole family. No, I don't want to test.
Yes.
Let me be, I will see it after a week. So neglect happens right from the lady herself, right? It starts from the woman herself.
Correct.
And then even as a relatives, it is like there is a, I won't say neglect, but that understanding that this can be a cardiac problem is less in the society. So I think that awareness needs to be improved. It's not only that cardiologist has to diagnose. It has to be diagnosed before that.
Yes.
By routine checkups and having a more awareness and treating this bad fat, bad cholesterol.
Correct.
Like if you see all the statistics, there are very less women who are taking statins. There will be less women who are taking aspirins. So they are not treated to the tune the men are treated. That's what the statistics says, which is true. If you see clinical trials of heart attacks or cardiovascular clinical trials, the participation of women is 30%.
Oh.
And there is a good paper published last year which says that from 2008 to 2025, the participation is decreasing,
Oh.
which so much against the increasing awareness or the increasing research, but it is decreasing. A very, the obesity drugs are there, and there are a lot of participation of women in these clinical trials, 80%.
Okay.
80%. So if you see the clinical research programs of obesity drugs, as I was saying, even women are biased about their health. So they look at obesity as, a social stigma or as a,
Correct.
it's not good, I look bad. But which is, I say it is good. You can say like that, you treat it. So their participation is more. But when the same drug, obesity, there is a cardiovascular risk trial, the participation of women, again, it is less. So there is a bias even in the research. So lot of drugs, how they will act differently in women, even as a treating doctors, we don't know.
Correct.
So the whole bias, right from socially, at home, woman herself, to the research.
Correct.
So this gender gap has to be improved here also.
So clearly, you've shown us an entire spectrum, right? So if I could sort of say that right from research till the time you use a drug, I think there is some sort of a mismatch, and you beautifully pointed out how the difference is when you do some study with respect to some cardiology versus some study to do with weight loss. You see a difference in participation. So
Yes.
that opens the eyes. But the major take home that I took from this is the fact that one needs to screen at a timely manner, earlier the better, because we are hearing that these cases are occurring earlier among Indians. And also to ensure that you visit the doctor, because I took back one important point that you mentioned, that in women the some parameter might be more preferred over the other, and that is a call that only an expert can take, right? So I think the message that I took from that particular conversation, a very enlightening one is screen regularly, screen early. But the second, go visit an expert, because that's the person who would help you to identify the risk, right? So thank you for that elaboration on the aspect of heart health and women. I'll move on to something which we get to read a lot, we get to hear a lot in our own families, is about obesity and what happens during pregnancy, right?
Yes.
So before I reach out to you for your comments, I'll narrate a few statements that I've heard, some from my family, some from friends. uh, I want to conceive, my doctor's recommended weight loss. Okay. Uh, I have conceived, my doctor's recommended weight loss. Uh, my kid is 5 years old. My size is increasing. I need to do weight loss. I am in the later stage of my life. I don't know why, but my body size is increasing. I need weight loss. So I'm hearing a lot of statements from women at different age groups, but something is really troubling them. So, what is this story about obesity, pregnancy, whether it is pre pregnancy, during, after, or maybe later stages? If you could throw some light on that.
Yes, actually, I run a huge pregnancy and diabetes clinic in Pune, and I'm also working in this area for more than 30 years.
Oh,
So, it's a intergenerational problem. Let's
okay.
first get into this. So, how the obesity affects pregnancy. So, let's first talk about the baby.
Okay.
If someone is obese before pregnancy, like BMI of more than 25, it is very nominal, I am talking, not 30 and 32.
Correct.
So, obesity before pregnancy compared to a girl who is not obese. The baby born to this girl who is more obese before pregnancy will be more, we call it adipose.
Okay.
So, the baby will look big, but it will have more fat percentage,
Oh,
which is not good for that baby's future health. So these babies grow up in a adolescent or a young adults as obese people.
okay.
So this is very important. So pre-pregnant obesity will create a problem in the fat percentage of your baby.
And you're
So
yourself affected,
that
but
is
you're
one
also
thing.
getting
That
affected.
is one thing. So this carries in the next generation as obesity.
Oh,
So having a young healthy girl is going to prevent problems in the next generation.
wow.
So this is one aspect of it. Secondly, for the girl herself, if there is more weight or obesity, insulin resistance, it's difficult to remain pregnant. We call it as a obesity related infertility.
Okay.
Then or hormonal infertility or metabolic infertility. So this is just plain weight issues and fat issues. If
Okay.
you lose fat and weight, it improves. Secondly, if she remains pregnant, a very obese girl remaining pregnant, chances, risk of abortions, they increase. So, and of course, as I said, they have more high risk of getting diabetes in pregnancy,
Okay.
which is a major issue. So, a pre-pregnant healthy girls is the need, and we say a girl needs to be fit to be a mom, and from the age of 13. So it's all advised to all the women to make their girls more fit right from their school age, to prevent problem of next generation in India, which is very important. So losing weight helps all the problems. Even chances of getting diabetes in pregnancy reduce. So
Okay.
the question which you asked me, Rahul, was pre-pregnancy weight, how it creates havoc.
Correct.
So that is bad. And even chances of blood pressure in pregnancy goes up. We
Okay.
call it as PIH. So if someone wants a healthy, good pregnancy, normal, weight loss and a good weight, fat loss is very important.
Okay.
And if you are listening to those sentences that I want to remain pregnant, I want to lose weight, is very good. I will say it is changing the society, because still now we hear, oh, now you are married, you want to get pregnant, eat more.
Hmm.
That's the standard advice in every home.
Correct.
Now you are pregnant, you eat more.
Correct.
Now you have delivered, you have a baby, you have a breastfeeding, eat more. Which is what we are listening, which
Yes.
needs to be changed drastically.
Oh, this is new. This is new for me to understand that the problem that happens to the female is being carried to the next generation.
Yes.
This was truly sort of, we got
Yeah.
to know for the first
So,
time.
the problem of obesity, adiposity in women and girls is very, very important
Yes.
as a society.
As a society, absolutely. And I think that there needs to be measures from all parts of the
All
society
parts.
to sort of help this
Yes.
particular situation.
Correct.
So, very beautifully you explained us the pre-pregnancy part. Now, if you can help us understand what happens in the pregnancy phase as well as in the post-pregnancy phase.
Yeah, so pregnancy, no one advises weight loss because you need to gain certain weight. But
Correct.
of course, we treat them properly, especially if they have diabetes, gestational diabetes. Most of them they get, and so we increase in weight has to be limited. So calories has to be given to the
Yes.
girls. So we treat that, and the good protein intake and everything.
Correct.
What I will like to share here, that is treating pregnancy. So that let's not go into the details of that.
Sure.
But after delivery,
Yes.
that's the major issue.
Correct.
So these girl will get diabetes much earlier. So
Okay.
we have published from our unit is that compared to again a European or white Caucasian, Indian girls, if they have diabetes in pregnancy, they will get diabetes in life very much early, within 4 years.
Oh,
And the age is what, 30, 32 that time. And this diabetes is a bit more severe. They get it at young age.
Correct.
It has to be looked differently, not like other people with diabetes. And the same girl, if she is a white Caucasian descent or European, she will get after 15 years, after delivery. So these girls are getting much earlier. So after delivery, they should know, like I will tell you an example. A girl, a national sports person, she was like in big way in sports, like basketball champion for India.
okay.
She came to me, and her family is of doctors. So
Okay.
it's like medically they are aware. She is physical fitness wise, she is the most aware girl I have seen.
Correct.
And she was playing till last. She became pregnant. She had gestational diabetes. So everything was explained. Still so bad that within 4 years she came to me with HbA1c of 10.
Oh,
So this awareness after delivery of not to gain weight, to continue exercise, not to gain fat is crucial to avoid diabetes. So everyone who gets diabetes in pregnancy, they has to look after their obesity, adiposity post delivery.
okay.
You don't need much weight or fat for breastfeeding, not at all. You just remain to be more physically active and good nutrition. You don't need to put on weight.
Correct.
That has to be removed. Of course, the society is changing.
Changing.
Lot of girls and their mothers and mother-in-laws, they know it. So it is changing, but it is very important to make a healthy life and lose fat and weight post delivery to avoid diabetes.
Sure. So I think the key message again that I could derive from your conversation is clearly don't just look at weight gain or obesity only from the point of view of obesity or having that excess weight gain, but think about also the kind of problems that it causes to your overall health. It could be diabetes, it could be any other problems, right? So if you can target your weight, have good nutrition, I think you're solving a lot of problems for your future as well, right? So thank you for that. Now that last segment that we spoke about, right, the segment of people who are middle aged or maybe towards entering their 50s, or I wouldn't define an age, it could be different for different women as I understand. But what happens over there? What are the kind of changes that happen in such women?
I think that age, there's a major is hormonal changes. The weight increases, as I said, maybe 4 or 5 kg in 6 months.
Yeah.
There is lot of fat deposition in the central area, bad fat.
Okay.
So central adiposity goes up with the hormonal protection gone, and then all the diseases of diabetes, blood pressure, heart attack risk, even cancers,
Okay.
liver problems, bone problems, they increase with increasing weight and adiposity.
Correct.
So women needs to be aware about their health at that age, definitely. And losing weight, losing fat,
Yeah.
improving their health is crucial.
Sure. So, do you generally recommend something specific for women at this age? What should they do in their lifestyle?
Okay, one more thing which I was talking about heart attack or cardiovascular risk. Let's
Okay.
start from there so that I will come to the muscle exercises.
Sure.
There is a test called as hand grip,
Okay.
and it is done with dynamometer.
Okay.
You can do it simple clinics or just see the muscle strength in the hand grip.
Okay.
This predicts heart attack risk.
Oh.
And in medical language, we call it a causative association, causal association, a walking pace and a hand grip.
Okay.
And this is a huge millions of patients data again from UK Biobank.
Okay.
This paper was published just last year.
Okay.
And it's an eye opener, really an eye opener that it has a causal association with heart attack risk. So improving muscle strength will improve lot of problems. So when we are talking especially about obesity and the bad fat and adiposity, how it's not only weight loss, it is improving your muscle mass, the skeletal muscle mass. So, and that is what no one goes to the gym after a certain age.
Correct.
And actually, in the elderly age group, the gym exercises help you much more than simple walking.
Okay.
Like for your heart, for your skeletal muscles, everything. You just need a good muscle strengthening exercises. And so, really, if you do resistance training exercises, there is a preservation of lean mass.
Okay.
So, someone wants to lose weight, and if they restrict calories, they will lose weight, but they will
Correct.
also lose muscle mass.
Okay.
That is bad for heart and cancer and everything, liver.
Okay.
But if someone is doing calorie restriction as well as they are doing strengthening exercises,
Okay.
they will lose weight, but they will preserve the
Preserve the
skeletal
muscle.
muscle mass.
Okay.
So, a little bit few words about this muscle mass,
Sure.
which is tested by hand grip.
Okay.
So, this muscle mass is not only, we talk about muscles so that they help us moving.
Yes.
Movement ke liye this is important.
Exactly.
They use glucose and then we can move here and there.
Correct.
So, it's not the only function of the skeletal muscles.
Okay.
Skeletal muscles in the body is a very important, we call it as a metabolic organ.
Okay.
So, they have lot of functions. They will secrete some hormones or proteins.
Okay.
These proteins will go and reduce heart attack risk.
Oh.
They will reduce the inflammation. They will improve your cholesterol. They will reduce the liver fat. And if there is a fat, see, if someone gets weight, the fat is also there in the skeletal muscles.
Okay.
That creates more problem with the muscles. So,
Got it.
if you start losing weight, doing a good muscle strengthening exercises, first thing is this fat is removed from the skeletal muscles,
Okay.
which improves insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
So, having a good exercise which has an effect on the skeletal muscles, muscle strengthening exercises, push ups, half squats in the gym, or climbing a mountain. And so, all these things are actually muscle strengthening exercises which are crucial in all the women, whatever age, and more so after the menopause.
Correct.
At all the ages of life, all walks of life, but more so after a particular age. So these women should be seen more in gyms
Yes.
to see these exercises. That will
Absolutely.
improve their heart attack risk, they will improve their diabetes risk, they will improve their cancer risk, everything. So I will definitely put a lot of stress and importance to these exercises which improve skeletal muscle strengthening. So I'm not talking about lot of weight and improving your muscles, not
Understood.
like that.
Yes.
Simple muscle strengthening exercises.
Sure. So that's a very new perspective that you put, because for an average person like me, I would have only heard about go do your 30-minute walk.
I know.
Right? If you can do more, do more
And somewhere
walks,
from
right?
it came 5 times a week,
Correct.
30 minutes.
Right. So
It's
that's
not at all sufficient.
that's
I
what you've
see
heard.
so many patients coming. I walk 10 kilometers, I walk
Correct.
15 kilometers. That person is always better than someone walking 3 kilometers.
Yes.
A person climbing hills, like we have Sinhagad in Pune,
Correct.
climbing hills is always better than someone who is doing. A person who is playing
Hmm.
tennis or a badminton or any
Any sport.
sports on the grounds
Okay.
is much better than someone who is only walking.
Okay.
So exercise has a lot of different muscle movements
Correct.
which are important.
So the core message that I again take back is the fact that you've got to be involving your muscles.
Exactly.
So it's not just weight loss, it's also building your muscles, because as you clearly mentioned, while weight loss will help you in general, but having those good muscles or strengthened muscles also help you live longer, live better,
Live
live
longer,
healthy.
better life. Your balance in the elderly age, that is the major issue.
Correct.
Cognitive function, the brain function, all these improve.
So the perspective that I can understand now is typically it's the youngsters who love to go to the gym.
Yes.
We also sort of need to put that habit to, our parents, ourselves, everyone needs to sort of do those
Do
strength.
those muscles.
So that's a very very new perspective that you've given us, and thank you for sharing all those data points about how muscle is so integral. In all this discussion around obesity, weight loss, we found something very interesting, that is about how to sort of preserve the muscle strength so that we can live healthy and a much better life, right? So I really like that perspective. um, if I were to sort of touch upon one aspect before we move on to the aspect of management, you also touched upon two aspects, and you said you clearly everyone knows about it, that is fatty liver, right?
Yes.
So now, what is this fatty liver? Do you feel there's any correlation that women are affected more, or is it across people? And what exactly happens, and why is it called as a fatty liver?
Yeah, it's not a word which is very simple and should not be taken lightly
Okay.
by even the medical community,
Okay.
medical fraternity of all the specialties, because they are talking about it. They see the patient at that end spectrum. So
Okay.
definitely they are more concerned. So fatty liver should be taken, as we are talking, that obesity should be looked as a disease or at least not a healthy thing. So it increases, then it becomes a fibrosis, and then someone can reach end stage liver disease as a liver cirrhosis,
Oh,
which is increasing. And we have heard a lot of liver cirrhosis only in people taking alcohol.
alcohol, right?
So we talk liver cirrhosis is alcoholic liver cirrhosis. But this is now the initial term which was used was non-alcoholic liver cirrhosis.
Correct.
Non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. That was the now which has removed the word.
Okay.
So we use lot of other words, metabolic associated
Sure.
obesity, etc.
Okay.
But it's the fatty liver is the beginning, and if it is grade 2 or more, we do fibroscans, and it affects both men and women.
Okay.
But again, if a woman is getting more fat, bad fat, and going to fibrosis, her journey towards end stage liver disease is much faster than men. So it is more serious once she gets it. So it is bad, and it is associated with simple adiposity,
Okay.
that again bad fat. So weight loss and fat loss, first improvement is in the liver.
Oh,
First improvement is in the liver.
that's good to know. So, what do you also observe that, like you mentioned about diabetes occurring earlier, is this also occurring earlier in our population?
Yes. Even school going children are getting fatty liver in India.
Okay.
And there are lots of studies done by Professor Anup Mishra from Delhi. Everyone. But his studies are much more like, if you see 10 people in the road,
Mm-hmm.
maybe almost half of them will have bad fat in the liver in India.
So that gives
So
me a message
that's-
that even I need to go and
Yes, we
get
all
it
need to go
screened
and
so
check
that
it, check your liver test, enzymes, liver fat, waist circumference.
waist circumference. I get that message very well, right? So with that sort of, let me move into the last segment. And the last segment we wanted to touch upon the management part of it, right? So we specifically wanted to take your feedback, your expert advice on what can we do. So we discussed a lot on what's the problem. We discussed about what problems come along with obesity or excess weight. Now we wanted to look at some solutions. right? Without solution, I don't think this meaningful discussion would really be good to conclude. uh, so for a person who has excess weight, as a person has obesity, or like you really taught us today, adiposity, what is your first recommendation to such an individual?
Weight loss.
Okay.
Okay. So first thing on the weighing scale, like for a lay person, the weight should go down.
Okay.
We do have a lot of medical terms, fat loss, and the waist inches should go down.
Okay.
So that is also good. But weight loss is the crux of the matter.
Okay.
And weight loss, fat loss, reducing inches or waist circumference will show a lot of improvement in
Okay.
all the things which we discussed. All the metabolic or health risk which we call comes with obesity will go down.
Okay.
Like a simple example of infertility, girls not remaining pregnant. We call it as a metabolic infertility.
Okay.
So if you lose 10% of weight loss, because weight loss comes with fat loss.
Okay.
So the chances of remaining pregnant increases. And there are good studies done. It's not that. So any weight loss will improve this. So first thing is weight loss and fat loss.
So, like you rightly mentioned right now, that when you look at management, you're really looking at weight loss, and you clearly mentioned that weight loss comes with fat loss. So, I'm assuming that you've had the discussion with the patient has done the necessary tests, the patient comes to you, and then you recommend, some measures. What would these measures generally be?
See, though I say weight loss is crucial, let me come back to you about that. That first few months, even though the weighing scale is not showing weight loss, there is a lot of fat loss happens with lifestyle intervention.
Okay.
So that is also important. Like for young girls, for infertility treatment,
Correct.
for women around perimenopause, or to reduce diabetes risk, or to improve their diabetes,
Okay.
to reduce their heart attack risk. That will help a lot, even though they don't lose significant weight. But because there is some fat loss happening with good lifestyle changes. So when I say lifestyle changes, it is calorie restriction,
Okay.
improving the composition of diet,
Okay.
like increasing protein and fiber,
Okay.
and decreasing carbohydrates. It's not no carb diet.
Okay.
You need little bit of carbohydrates to protect heart.
Correct.
So increasing protein, fiber, and reducing calories, because it's someone was asking me a question that you always say, and if you reduce so much of calories, there will be malnourishment. But like it never happens. So don't worry. She was a nutritionist. I said, young girl, I said, do not worry. Everyone eats enough
Enough.
in everywhere in the world, especially in our country,
Correct.
because our society moves around eating.
I know.
Our whole social life and the life is around eating. Celebration, everywhere we need eating. So that is not the question. But whatever calorie restriction along with improving composition, that helps, and exercise. Exercise, as I mentioned, a combination of aerobic, strengthening, and flexibility exercises. All three together
Okay.
will improve the fat loss, weight loss, and muscle mass. So that is the first thing. So weight loss is crucial,
Okay.
and there's a lot of drugs. Everyone is reading about these drugs, so let me touch upon it.
Okay.
Definitely, these drugs do help. With lifestyle, you will lose 5%, 10%. With crash diet, someone can lose. But it's a kind of a repetitive problems in obesity. It relapses immediately. So you lose weight, you gain weight.
Okay.
You lose weight, you gain weight. Like it goes like stocks.
Correct.
And then when you gain weight, you gain more fat.
Oh.
Every time you are gaining weight, you gain more fat, more fat, more fat. Once you lose weight.
Okay.
So one needs to be very specific about it, as I was talking about muscle exercises.
Okay.
Same thing happens with drugs also, but not like lifestyle immediately.
Okay.
At least for 1 year, 2 years, the weight will remain less.
Okay.
Then, of course, you stop the drugs, it goes up, but not completely. So, I won't call them bad drugs or why to take. Sometimes, to improve metabolism, it is good to have these drugs with the proper precautions.
Okay. So, I will come to the drugs because that's something that a lot of people are discussing. But let me sort of take an example because that's something that, I have often sort of faced. I've heard about this. And you also mentioned this briefly. You are doing something, but your weighing scale is not showing something. you clearly mentioned that is very common in the initial stages. So, what do you tell your patients? How do you motivate them to just continue the good work that they're doing?
See, ultimately, motivation for weight loss, I'm talking about women, is that I want to reduce, fit in the smaller sizes.
Okay.
I said, good. I like it. Everyone wants it.
Yes.
Why to dissuade them? They tell them, no, no, that is healthy is thing, you will lose. Okay, you do that, have that motivation. But to improve your health overall, even a fat loss, even though you lose 1 or 2 kg, and if you're losing fat, which you check your body composition, you're losing inches, then it is very healthy.
Okay.
You're improving your metabolism. So don't get disappointed if the weight loss weighing machine is not showing weight loss.
Okay.
You're doing a lot of good, especially in young girls.
Yeah.
Their menstrual cycles improve,
Yeah.
everything improves, even though they are not losing weight with good lifestyle changes.
But that itself is a
That
motivation.
itself is a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. So clearly, you will sort of face this situation, but the important point is to talk to the patient and understand what works for them clearly. So, the other aspect about management is also this aspect that you briefly touched upon, which is the weight regain.
Yes.
It's you use the word relapsing. So I believe the disease sort of comes back if you are not progressing well. What do you do about it? It is common, even
Yeah,
everyone experiences that. So
it is a fact, I will say. It's a truth. So obesity is a relapsing problem. You lose weight, the brain remembers that your earlier weight, so it will give orders. So without your notice, the appetite goes up, the intake goes up, and the weight is regained again. The brain and the body has lots of mechanisms that are happening.
okay,
So it's a relapsing disorder. So you do lot of lifestyle change, calorie restriction, you lose 3 kg, and within 3-4 months, a little bit of typical lifestyle.
yes,
Though you are not eating that, you think your weight will go up, and the weight, when you lose weight and when it goes up, you more regain more fat.
correct,
So one needs to be very much aware that how I am losing my weight, how much is my fat mass going down, how much is my lean muscle mass going down. If we have some proper kind of a management when you are losing weight, this problem will not come. It's mainly related to the brain and the appetite. It's a lot of centers are, and the main eating of sweets comes from the brain receptors, which are responsible for the cannabinoid receptors, so which are actually addiction receptors.
oh,
So the same receptors, they get stimulated by eating sweets, so which are
Interesting.
not needed, no calories are required from the sweets. So it is just for the brain we eat those excess calories. So it really needs a kind of a psychological makeup for a person. You need to use all your management principles when you are going on a weight loss programs to make it successful.
got it. So clearly, it's not something that an average person can take decisions by themselves. I understand what this needs is an expert to be in their life, so that they can reach out to, they can also talk to them, so that they understand what needs to be changed at different aspects of their life.
Having said that, I have a lot of patients, lot of friends
Okay.
who have successfully done 10 kg weight loss,
Okay.
and they are maintaining it.
Okay.
So these are the role models, the examples. These are the healthy people. They have really shown, they take time. It's not 3 months. So you cannot have a wedding in 3 months and I want to lose 10 kg. This will not happen. But over the 1 year time, they really have shown this without drugs.
Okay.
So hats off to them, and
So
I
it's
always
possible.
give their examples to all my other patients that you can do it if you decide.
Ma'am, if I can sort of request you, if you can share any one example on this, it would be really, important for people to know how
I
they went
have
about doing it.
people, so many patients and friends, like the pictures which we take initially, just by following a simple routine and not having a immediate kind of a goals in less months of time. Say like 1 year is a good time
Okay.
to lose, say 10 to 15% of 10%, I will say, weight loss.
Okay.
1 year.
Okay.
So that sustainability remains, and they show the pictures.
Yes.
So a proper gym, 1 hour, and of course some sports on the
Yes.
ground or climbing hill These two combination of exercises and actually it's not too much of a meticulous diet. It's just getting aware what to eat, especially for the dinner. And
Got
if
it.
you change that, it is possible.
Sure. So this point that you mentioned, ma'am, also sort of makes me realize that there's a team involved, right? So you bring in the medical expertise. You would also have probably a dietitian to help the patient. I'm not sure who helps with respect to the exercise, or you yourself give that expert advice. How does this combination work together? Do you think obesity needs this kind of an approach?
Yes, they need. It's not. It may not be there. Comes from all the expert or advice should not come from the clinic. In India, we do have a lot of good kind of people who are experts in their own fields.
Okay.
So, but it has to be kind of in the loop. So everyone should know. Like a treating doctor should know what a patient is doing for weight loss, whether it
Okay.
is correct or not. So all these counseling, a good physiotherapist. See, we are talking lot of times when we talk of obesity, we talk of healthy people. Like I am saying, you climb Singhgad and all. But
Correct.
in practice, we see lot of women or men, but mainly women with osteoarthritis.
Okay.
They can't get up and walk for 10 steps. What
Correct.
exercise you are going to advise? So a physiotherapist which comes in my clinic is so important
Yeah.
to give a simple exercises which remove their pain,
Hmm.
improve their bone mass, and then again there will be a fat loss. So even osteoarthritis, weight loss, see any backache,
Correct.
everything the doctor will say lose weight.
Yeah.
So it's not that okay you do weight loss program. It's not like that. So all that team of diet, motivation, physiotherapist, exercise, and regular checkup, seeing body composition, and
Correct.
it's again it's one time advice is not sufficient. It has to be every monthly. So it's very good to have these kind of a digital media to keep that program going, or we call it as a hand holding,
Correct.
like every week. Now it is very much possible
Yes,
with WhatsApps, and we have our own apps. It's not easy, but it is possible.
Yes. So
So
what I
you
understand
need a full
is,
team.
yeah, you need a team. Also, the good point that you made is you're there with the patient for say once in a month or once in 3 months, but then there are those uh, 29 days or 90 days in between two consultations. If there is some hand holding that can happen at that
That
time,
is
that would
crucial.
really help.
That makes the whole weight loss program successful.
Correct.
Hand holding.
Correct. So what I hear is the patient might need some help between the two visits, and that would really help the person to take the best possible steps for overall health. So that's a good point, ma'am. Coming to the end, you've touched upon a lot of things today. You've touched upon why we need to view it with respect to the health concerns that obesity brings in. You also touched a good amount of information on what needs to be done at screening. You also spoke about a lot of things in terms of comorbidities, right? So I think the entire spectrum you covered it beautifully, and now we ending with the management part of it. Um, if at the end, if I were to sort of ask you to give, three key messages to the public at large with respect to the problem of weight management or the problem of obesity, what would, according to you, be those three key messages that you would want to highlight?
So you asked me the three key messages, what I want to talk to the viewers or all my friends. So first thing I will say, accept obesity that it has a huge health risks, so that we treat it we just don't look at it as a social stigma. So it comes with lot of poor health. We talked about heart, cancer, diabetes, bone problems, osteoarthritis. All things will improve if there is a obesity and adiposity is improved. So once we understand this, the second key message is everyone should screen whether they have adiposity and obesity by doing tests. We talked about waist circumference, waist to height ratio, body weight, body composition, even DEXA scans. So once we say yes, and all the medical tests which comes with the adiposity, like lipid profiles, liver test, sugar, HbA1c. So tests and screening is crucial. Thirdly, now when we are treating it, everyone can have their own motivation. So I won't say wrong things that I want to fit in the smaller sizes. Oh, it's a good motivation. There is a wedding, it's a good motivation. You want to improve your lipid profile, it's a good motivation. So define your motivation point for 1 year or 6 months, have a proper team, go to the expert. Just by reducing calories, it's not a healthy weight loss. So, I will recommend a healthy weight loss which loses weight, loses fat, and improves your muscle mass. And the lean muscle mass is crucial to tackle all the bad aspects of adiposity and obesity, and you come out as a healthier weight loss and overall health improves. So, that is very, very important third message.
So, ma'am, one interesting thing that I wanted to, take your opinion as well. What has really changed? Weight gain as a problem, people coming to you with that complaint, people coming to you for obesity is not new, as I understand. People would have been coming since ages. What has really changed over the last 1 year or so that we are having a good conversation, we are understanding more about the disease, we are having this discussion today? So what exactly has changed in the last few years?
Uh, Rahul, I will say there is a last 1 year in India. It has happened much more before in other countries, but in India it is a major change in last 1 year. If I use the word paradigm shift, I think I am absolutely right about it. It's a
Okay.
paradigm shift in not only managing obesity but looking at obesity. That has also changed. So awareness has increased because again because I'm a treating doctor and a clinician, I won't hesitate to say that because we have drugs now which can lose weight.
Correct.
So there is always everyone thinks whenever we say drugs, there is a negative connotation to this word only.
Correct.
But there are a lot of good healthy drugs
Yeah.
which are not creating much problems. The little bit of side effects are simpler. They are not creating any lasting effects on the body.
Correct.
But because of these drugs of obesity management, now the whole look towards obesity, adiposity, or for that matter, weight loss
Yes.
has changed. And there is a lot of criticism that again you stop the drug, weight goes up. So I don't want to talk negative about it.
Yeah.
It comes much later.
Yeah.
Even 6 months you lose weight and the fat. The changes as a treating doctor I see in HbA1c, the cholesterols, the triglycerides, all the inflammatory markers is so good that I am, as a treating doctor, I am happy about it.
Correct.
Okay, then there are ways to maintain the weight. We don't want to lose 20% and be there.
Yeah.
That much of obesity, luckily, we do not have much in India.
Yeah.
We need little bit of fat loss and weight loss, which will take all these problems of diabetes and heart attack risk will be much less.
Correct.
We'll go towards healthier. So, and again, one more thing, the drugs itself is a motivation now. So someone want to lose weight, I don't want to try drugs, but I will try. Even that's a very good motivation. So which was there, but it is now more strong.
Correct.
I don't want medicines, I want to lose weight. So the overall, everyone who is working in this segment, I think is experiencing it. We are definitely experiencing it, and it's on a very positive note I want to say about this.
Thank you so much for the entire spectrum of conversation on obesity, ma'am. We are quite happy with learning so many new things over here. And again, as we started to mention about this talk, this is Cipla Presents Win Over Weight in partnership with India Today. And our motive today was to have a good conversation on obesity awareness. What is the expert's advice on how to view the disease and also to how to manage the disease? With that, thank you for the time, and thank you for
Thank
all
you
the
so
guidance.
much. Yes. I really enjoyed discussing with you, Dr. Rahul. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.